Hey, everybody out there. Hi, are we on? Are we live? Are we good? Yes, we are. Hey, live from Denver, it's Friday night. This is Critical Conversations in our new location. Little shaky, little nervous because everything's all newly set up, so we're, a little bit on tenterhooks here. But we are here. We being me, Chris, and my gorgeous, beautiful wife, and, by the way, the SP on my case, the special person on my case, my wife, Melissa.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Denmark, my goodness.
Wow.
Yep, hey, critics. All right, we are here. Hey, Alex, all right.
Yay.
Yeah, okay, well, we are, okay, good. Xenu is there, Henny, all right, all the usual suspects. New Zealand, damn, awesome. It is so awesome to just be able to be live internationally with people. It really blows me away still, to this day, that is a thing. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the move. Because it was and still is ongoing for another couple days. We basically scheduled things for about a 2-week window, right? From the 15th forward, we've been moving. And we've been doing a little bit every day kind of thing. And then on this last weekend, we did a big moving truck deal and moved all the big stuff. And then went back to just moving things, incrementally, a bit at a time for the rest of the week. That was necessary in order to keep going on school, work, my work, right? My video work here and all of that. And it has not been fun. It has been the exact opposite of fun. I think moving is, hey, first timer, awesome. I think moving is something that is a punishment that you should get in hell, is that you're always moving, right?
That would be awful.
As soon as you move, oh, we got another place for you. Awesome, North Carolina, Hermosa. So yeah, bright side is we only have a couple more days to go. The vast bulk of the stuff is over here. We got boxes all over the place. And if you could see past our little desk setup here, I finally today got some things up behind us. we changed out the table. It's a little bit longer, so it gives us a little bit more elbow room, which is why you see us a little bit more elbowy here. And thinner. The table's a little thinner too, but that's good. Everything's closer. And there's no bookcase back behind us. That is different now. So you can see some shadows and stuff on the wall. I'm not fully decided yet on whether that's a final thing. I like my desk. I like the way it's set up. I'm not totally 100% on what's behind us yet or not. So that's the, all the boring whatever from the setup and move and all of that. It has been physically draining. And when I combine that with what you'll hear this week in my podcast, which is already recorded and rendered out, and I'll post it tonight for tomorrow. It'll go up tomorrow for you guys. I go on a monologue in my podcast this week about some of the psychological stressors and conditions that have been going on over the last few months that have really that created a lot of weird pressures and ideas and difficulties for me in my studies and in my work. And it turns out, as I kind of explain in the podcast, that it's another onion layer coming off. If you know that analogy of how when you come out of a group, a destructive cult, domestic violence situation, these levels of indoctrination that happen to you can form like these layers like an onion, and you got to strip them off one at a time. And they don't always come off so easily, and they're not always so obvious that they're even there. Because the deeper you go, the closer you're getting to you, the core kind of personality at the bottom of the thing. And you got all these layers of indoctrination and thought reform and ideas and biases and all this stuff built up. And the recovery, a good part of the recovery process for us former cult members or trauma survivors is coming to terms with and recognizing the bullshit that was laid on us and how to kind of strip it off from your new, fresh, perspective outside of that coercive control situation. And so this onion layer thing is a thing that we talk about all the time. You guys heard me talk about this. And that is sometimes it can be, sometimes you don't see it, even if you have the analogy and you're going through the process, and you know how introspective I am. And I'm always, thinking about thinking and looking at my thinking and, what's going on and all that. And even as introspective as I am and critically thinking as I try to be, sometimes this stuff can be pretty overwhelming. Emotionally, it's just hitting you, And hey, Troy's here. Awesome. So it takes some time, in other words, right, to strip this stuff off. And so I went on a whole roll on this on the podcast this week. I'm not going to try to repeat that here other than just to, kind of tease you guys with it. So there you go. Okay, now, we have a call. Yes.
Oh,
all right. Oh, Kevin's calling in. All right. One moment, Kevin. Let me get that back in place here. And pick this up. Hello, you are on the air. Oh, wait. Or is he? What are we missing? Uh-oh. I've got him on.
Yeah, what's going on?
But I cannot hear. And that does not make sense.
Sorry, Chris?
Oh, there it is. There it is. I needed to adjust the little
Yeah,
plug.
I'm
There
sorry.
we go. Hi.
I'm sorry, that was on my end too.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, hi, Kevin.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
I'm
Hey,
good.
I had a quick question for you guys, and then I may have to cut out and just kind of let you roll with it.
Sure. What you got?
Well, it's about epistemology, and I'm a fan of Anthony Magnavasco as well. I know
Yeah.
you are too.
Big time.
I was wondering if you guys thought whether there's maybe visual cues when you're talking to someone who has odd beliefs that might make you believe that they are someone that might be more susceptible to re-examining their thought process versus someone who's just absolutely out there in it's obvious that you're just not going to make any difference whatsoever.
Right. You're asking what kind of body cues or body language or visual cues might be there? Yeah. Okay, cool.
And what made me think of this is I was watching a video on Flat Earth, and there were people that it was just obvious they were full blown down the rabbit hole, but there were certain people, it's just, I don't know if it was their mannerisms or whatnot, but they just hit me as if you ask the right questions, you might be able to get them to rethink how they came to this conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just that they're a little bit more thoughtful in their answers or in what they said. But that's what made me think about it.
Well, excellent. And in terms of things to watch for or cues you might be looking for that that indicate interest or thoughtfulness, you're going to find pauses, longer answers, right? Like you mentioned. Engagement really is what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And engagement. I mean, what do you, babe, when you think about or look at? How do I know this person's listening to me and taking in what I'm saying and is being for real in the conversation versus not? What sort of things do you look for?
I mean, are they kind of nodding along with you, or they,
nodding?
Are they
that's a visual cue.
Responding to what you're saying, or the facial responses,
That's right. That's right. I would also say how they are expressing themselves to you, because if they're angry, if they're antagonistic, if they're sort of, coming forward a little bit, right? You get that kind of body language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you have a problem, right? Because you're not in harmony, you're in opposition. So, that kind of stuff. If I'm understanding your question, this is what you're asking me, yeah?
For sure. That is absolutely right. You're right on track.
Okay, great. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then also you want, that thoughtfulness, when you ask a question.
Yes.
You want a pause. If they're like immediately, no, yes, no, or whatever, you're not having a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, it's just that this person in particular that I was watching, she hit me as somebody that was more, she was not fully down the rabbit hole, and just like, you might be able to reach her versus somebody that's, who would be a good example? Andrew Wakefield. Talking about vaccines. Yeah, no, you're not going to reach him.
No, you're not. Or, cult leaders, you're not going to reach the leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never. So, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And, watching that body language, super important. It's funny how this isn't something I pay a lot of attention to, because I guess I sort of picked it all up real early on in Scientology. They talk about productive skills or translatable skills that you get, and I never really thought about this, but body cues and body language and language cues are definitely something I picked up on in Scientology from all the interviews I had to do with all the pre-clears, not to mention sec checking.
I was I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
You're good.
Okay. Well, I was a paramedic for a long time, and that's one thing that we were trained on is interpersonal communication, and the big part of interpersonal communication is nonverbal communication.
Yep.
And so we did spend a lot of time on that too. Maybe that's why I picked up on this. I don't know, but in that job, you need to be able to interpret what someone's saying, even if they're saying that they're fine and they don't want treatment. Because if you see something in their body language that they're not communicating, then you're going to ask a little bit more questions and try a little bit harder to get them to go with you or to get them to accept treatment versus just handing them some paperwork and saying, okay, well, we'll see you later.
That's right.
So
I
think that came into play a little bit.
Yeah, well, it has to, because when you're in an industry like that where you're going to be, helping people, but sometimes they're embarrassed, they're anxious, they're scared for whatever reason, and you have to go that little extra mile, right?
Yep, absolutely. Or they're the tough types, and I don't want to go to the hospital. Well, you're in atrial fibrillation and your heart's going 140 times a minute. So we really think you should go with us.
Exactly. Exactly. There you go. Well, I think there's lots of places where to pick this up. Man. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. I'm at work. I'd chat longer, but I'm at work, so I got to let you go.
No problem, man. Bye-bye. Thanks for calling.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Bye-bye. All right, good call. Let me comment real fast on something, because this is something we have fun with that is on the line of that body cues and body language thing that I think that I want to also point out as a critical thinking thing. Is there's also a lot of false information out there, or pseudo information out there about body language and reading people's cues, and so I want to put it out there that you want to be a little cautious on the literature or reading up on this kind of stuff. When I say the literature, I don't mean academic literature. I mean all the faux academic literature out there on reading people, how to tell if somebody's lying to you, how to tell, what emotional state somebody is in. There's a ton of false information out there on these things. Neuro-linguistic programming, for example, is packed up with false information. This business of if you're talking to somebody and they think and they look to the left, that means that they're consulting their language center or something, versus if they look to their right when they're consulting their creative side, and that means they're lying. This NLP crap is just for the birds.
Yeah.
Individuals have cues, but you have to learn them. You got to learn that person. It's not a matter of there's one cue that fits all. And I just wanted to bring that point up because it's kind of an important one. Exactly. Now, 7cam. We did not touch on 7cam yet, so let us check in.
It.
There he is. Okay, and there, by the way, is our new living room with our cat tree there, and our little that's my beanbag chair and our couch. Anyway, so you can see it's still kind of newly set up there, but there's our little bundle of love.
Yeah.
Sitting there, having a good old time,
eating his catnip.
Yep. He actually really likes that. You were mentioning he really likes that tree there.
Yeah, he likes to stick his little head in between the blinds and look out there.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a real thing about looking out the window. He'll literally stick his head in the blinds. It's kind of funny that way. All right, so that was our first 7cam. We will check back in with him. Okay, so we are getting a couple questions, but we have got calls in the queue, so we are going to start taking these. This is awesome. Here we go. Miss Elaine, hello? Elaine?
Actually, can you hear me?
I can. Hello.
It's Rosalange.
Rosalange. Actually. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
And thank you for taking my call. I am thrilled to find you and Melissa on live after watching hours, literally days, of your Scientology videos from 2014.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I felt like, oh my God. Oh my freaking God. It touched on so many things that I had blocked. And having been head of Division 6 for my local area for quite a while, sent from my little wonderful podunk town to California to the Big Blue for upper level training that my little mission couldn't give, having to take myself and my special needs child out there for training because, we're going to save the world, only to see behind the veil right away because, it's so obvious to people that are critical thinkers. And so after getting out and finally decades passed, and here I am finally on my feet on my own, financially stable, still doing very, very well, better than I ever would have in that group. And then I come upon your videos. And it's like, kapow, kapow, kablam. Oh my God, all this stuff rushing back. And it's like, yeah, but you're not there anymore. And it's okay.
Big time.
And yes, this is validating so many of the things that I was experiencing at the time. And I thought I was the out ethics one, right?
Yes, right.
Because gaslighting is a thing.
Yep.
And it's very effective. And then when you wake up, it's like, wait a minute. So I really just want to validate you and tell you how much I appreciate what you had done in the past for that. And I will continue to stand up and go, yeah, don't get into that.
Awesome.
I mean, if you're curious, read a book, but yeah, don't. Just don't.
Well,
now,
that is
I do
awesome.
want to say that I did take away a lot of wonderful things from the learning, not necessarily the tech, but the actual communication classes.
Yep.
Right? And how to be a student and how to interact more effectively with peers or people who think they're an authority over me. Notice I said they think they're an authority.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how your view of that changes after an experience like that, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And those who think they're an authority and how they are not as apt to communicate effectively, it's mind-boggling that, wait, was I always like this? Or were they always that stupid? Or
that's right.
What did I learn that they didn't get? And I just, you know what? You're not my responsibility. I don't have to communicate with you.
That's right.
And I think that was one of the most effective things I learned. I don't have to communicate if I choose not to. So again, I really appreciate what you've done, what you're doing. And Melissa, I hope to hear more of you. I'm sorry I just kind of took over and just spewed all this out to you.
You're fine.
Damn, it's indicating so much. And it really has gotten me out of a darker place than I thought I was in, because it affected me, it impinged, and it made me so much more aware of what I was hiding. So thank you guys.
Wow.
Keep
You
up the good work.
are so welcome. Thank you. You have like made my week. Yeah, seriously, this has been a wonderful phone call, so thank you.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I call in every week and tell you what I learned from you. I mean, it's amazing.
Awesome.
Because we were all in the same boat. We were all in the same boat. Here we were, impressionable young kids. We thought we were going to save the world because we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
That's right.
And I was there when the scavenge, I was there when the IAS, I think it was he came into L.A., Miscavige came into L.A. in all his fancy finery and talked about how we're saving the world and we're doing better. And this went on for hours and hours, and people were clapping, and I'm getting hungry and going, okay, I'm not in the RPF, but I want to go home. And he said something about going home, meaning to the other planets or whatever the fuck he was talking about. And I went, yeah, I want to go home. I want to go click my heels and go back to Kansas kind of thing.
Exactly.
Oh, but it was such a Disney World-like place, because if you look behind the curtain, it's like, oh my God,
That's right.
Mickey Mouse has no head and he's smoking.
That's right.
What the heck?
Exactly.
So again, I'm babbling. I'm sorry, I'm babbling,
No worries.
because I do enjoy giving you the feedback that you may not have been aware in 2014 that it would still impinge in 2021.
Thank you.
So your videos are still doing what you wanted them to do. Thank you.
You're very
And I'm
welcome.
going to hang up now.
All right.
I'll just keep going because I was so,
Well,
Take care. You guys, I'll be listening. Thank you. And if you need a wrench, I wrench for other mods on YouTube. So, yeah, I'll be
Awesome.
happy to do that.
Oh, wow.
thank you very much. All
I'll be
right.
back. Bye.
Bye-bye. That was just, sometimes I get emails like that too. And they don't come all the time, and I don't need them to. I just want to let you guys know that sometimes that comes, and almost always the timing is just perfect. Because I exposed myself to some really nasty information in an effort to try to do better at what I do. And it can be difficult sometimes to learn things. So getting the positive end of that, of the fact that the work I'm doing is actually worth it, is nice. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Let us take the next call. This is Terry. Hello.
Hi, I just took a bite of chips, so I'm sorry I'm jumping.
Okay.
I was waiting. I have a question.
Yeah.
And you probably answered it on so many videos, but I did go back on a lot of videos. I'm not really gotten the answer to this particular question.
Yeah, what you got?
So, okay. Now, Dying Eggs turned out to be like a self-help book, right?
Yep.
People got into it because of the self-help book and stuff. What I don't understand, and I've listened to a lot of videos trying to understand this, how did this self-help book get people to think that this was like you're burying yourself as a person, but it turned into a religion?
Okay, I'll tell you.
Where did it cross over? How did it cross over to this?
Yeah.
To when it was that?
I'll tell you exactly how it happened. It happened during 1950 and 51. Hubbard didn't just publish the book in May 1950. He then started lecturing almost immediately. In June, he was holding lectures out of a house in New Jersey. And he was delivering classes. And he started a Dianetics Foundation. And this formal organization also sprung up over in LA and other places around the United States. And Dianetics was a legit bestseller, so it was taking it was a big fad. So these organizations start up, and Hubbard's lecturing and traveling around the United States doing these lectures and talking about new developments in Dianetics and Scientology. And he's got, or Dianetics rather, because Scientology wasn't a thing yet. And he's continuing to refine the processing. And he enters in vitamin therapy and drugs and some testing and validation. He's trying to get validation scientifically for the results and all that. Anyway, 1950 is kind of a whirlwind of this. But one of the things that comes up in the research, in the lectures that Hubbard talks about, is going earlier and earlier and earlier is what Dianetics is all about as a mental therapy, right? So,
Okay. I'm still seeing all self-help stuff here.
No, I know.
Okay. I'm following you.
So, so Hubbard is now saying in a lecture of, I believe it was in August 1950, he says, look, one thing that is starting to come up with people who are running this Dianetics, when they're going earlier similar, looking for an earlier time of pain and unconsciousness, they're going earlier than this life. They're coming up with stuff from the 1800s, from the 1600s, and Hubbard's on stage going, we're going to run with it. We're not going to put a stop to this. We're going to see where it goes, because this is what the research is telling us. And then all through 1951, especially later part of 1951, and big time, really put the pedal to the metal in 1952, Hubbard started developing this idea of theta. And it was still Dianetics, it wasn't Scientology. But this idea of theta, this spiritual quantity, or this sort of not physical life force, is kind of how it was thought about. In 1952, that developed into a thetan. You're a thetan, I'm a thetan, we're all thetans, we're all actually spiritual entities, we're not just bodies. And that's how it became religious in nature, spiritual in nature first, and then Hubbard decided to take the leap and make it into a church. And he was aided in that by the real world problem of not owning the copyrights of Dianetics anymore and having bankrupted it twice and those kind of problems, right? So Hubbard has solving some real world financial and organizational problems, and the subject had kind of gone in that direction. Does that help?
Well, yeah, it does. I just don't understand why people would. I mean, I understand exactly what you just said to me.
Cool.
But I don't understand how people just didn't take the Dianetics and put that as like a self-help book, and then put this Satan, whatever it is, or the spiritual thing, and put that in a whole separate entity. But what you're saying is they combined the two, right?
Well,
Somehow
one led to the other.
Right?
Yeah, Dianetics led to Scientology, and Scientology became its own subject. And Hubbard was sort of putting Dianetics on the back burner at that point. And at this time, by the way, just so you're clear on the numbers of what we're talking about, Dianetics the fad had run its course. So Hubbard's followers were a few hundred people. This was not a huge movement back in 1951, 52. So we're not talking about a lot of people following Hubbard. He had to build it back up because he had bankrupted Dianetics twice.
How did he get Dianetics back?
The guy who owned the copyrights, who had purchased it from Hubbard or owned it, in connection with Hubbard, got sick and tired of the harassment that Hubbard and his organization were doing to him. His name was Don Purcell. He was a millionaire in Kansas City, and he had helped Hubbard out, and then Hubbard had screwed him over and then taken off. And so he didn't have the copyrights to the Dianetics book anymore. Over the next 2 years, they harassed this guy, Don Purcell, long enough and hard enough that he finally gave it up and moved on, and Hubbard got Dianetics back. And in 1955 is when Scientology and Dianetics come back together.
So basically, it's still two separate things, right?
Yep.
I mean, a self-help book, and then you got a religious aspect to it. I mean, I don't understand why Scientology is connected to and make it a religion.
Because they're following L. Ron Hubbard. They are followers of L. Ron Hubbard, not followers of Dianetics as a subject. They're following the whole thing. And Hubbard very clearly said, look, Dianetics was okay, but Scientology is the shit. If you really want to go free, if you really want the big wins, you got to do the Scientology. So,
Just with that statement, it just went click in my mind. I don't know why.
There you
I
go.
don't know how you just said that to me where it went click. But,
good.
yeah.
There you
So
go.
now I get it. Big thing. Gotcha.
Excellent. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for calling in.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Just because we got more calls in the queue and we got people on hold for a while here, so let's get to it. Mike, hello.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, I am good. How are you, man?
I am well. And the first thing I want to tell you is I got to agree with the caller a couple of minutes ago. The change that some of us, I wouldn't say old schoolers, but mid-schooler in my case, have seen you go through is pretty phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And, Jerry and his lovely, never-to-be-discussed wife wanted me to stress on the fact that they are just amazed at your new attitude.
Oh, wow. Well, awesome. Thank you for passing that message on, and I'm very happy to hear that.
So I stumbled upon something really quick, and I didn't know, you and I have talked a lot.
Yes, we have.
I stumbled upon an article, and actually it was partially provided to me by Jane Ridley. I don't know if you've ever communicated with her.
Yes, I have. I know who she is.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is something that because you know my history, I've been looking for several years, and it's called Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't.
Mm-hmm.
The Religious Shunning and the Free Exercise Clause by Justin K. Miller.
Oh, this is a book.
It is a very extensive article written through the University of Pennsylvania Law Review.
Okay.
And if you're not familiar with it, look it up. I can email you the PDF.
Yeah, please do. Please send me a link.
This is exactly covering every single thing that you and I have talked about over the last few years.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Court cases, the actual breakdown, the doctrine of separation, the express law of the First Amendment protection of religious shunning versus the family right. They have a section in there regarding. They have a section in there regarding three categories. First category is your spouse. Your second category is business, and the third category, ta-da, the family court system and the failure of acknowledgement.
Oh, there we go. Well, that's an interesting read. Definitely send it to me.
Yeah, it stopped us in our tracks.
It sounds like it, and that's awesome, man. I look forward to reading what they had to say and how that might. I don't know. I don't know yet what it's going to do for us, but I'm very interested in reading it.
Yeah, I forwarded it to the powers that be, just so they could take a look at it, because there's a couple of references in there that a certain four women might want to take a glance at.
Understood.
Understood.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Cool.
Okay.
Okay,
look
man.
it up. Are you guys enjoying the new place?
We are. It is. I just said today, it's starting to feel like our place. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just kind of starting to feel a little bit that way. It's still a little like, this isn't quite home. I don't know where everything is.
Exactly. There's still drawers that are empty, cabinets that don't have anything in them, boxes all over the place, so yeah. But it's good. We are definitely happier with, we got a place that's basically the same square footage, but the distribution's very different. We have more storage space, bigger bathrooms, slightly smaller bedroom, and we're okay with that because we got these more expanded areas, walk-in closets. So we're pretty happy.
Good. Yeah, more room to walk in, less room to snuggle.
Yeah, basically.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Hey, I'll email that to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, good. Talk to you, Mike.
All right, bye.
All right. And 2 more calls in the queue. Let's get to it. Okay. Hello.
Hello, my dear. It's me.
Henny.
Hi, it's
Hello.
Henny. Hey. Hi, Melissa. Hi, sweetheart. I'm so glad for your new move. I can actually hear an echo. I had written to you, and it sounds like it's so much bigger.
It is. We have a much higher ceiling in this room. I was literally telling Melissa just before we went on, I got blankets I got to hang up and soundproofing I got to do in this room because it is echoey.
Yeah. And it's definitely higher.
I actually like that. Do you like that or no? Oh, I mean, I love that.
Hey, I'm glad to hear that. I kind of prefer a deader, flatter sound myself, but I'm glad that it's not distractingly bad right now.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. When you unpack, all your shit and you start putting it out, the sound is going to really decrease. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes.
So I wanted to say congratulations on your move. I'm very happy.
Thank you.
And there were 2 things I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
I adore you both. I'm hugging you. There were 2 things I want to bring up, and I'm going to try to go fast. You spoke about a reality check this week, and I adore you. And I told you, the 5 words is just impossible, okay? I got to do a whole synopsis on everything you do.
Yeah.
But the fact, yes, Chris, really. But the fact that you are so introspective makes me really, I don't know, it's like I'm so admirable, admiring of that trait in you, because I have to tell you something. And I'm going to say it fast, all right? I was always drawn to everyone in Scientology. And I really never knew why. I just, I always used critical thinking, and I always was different and stood out and everything like this. But I just was very drawn. And I don't know what happened. I was in a private moment, and I thought to myself, you were in a cult. And I said, stop it. Stop it. You don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Like, I'm having this whole conversation in my head, And it said, what, you didn't have muster in the morning? There were no blow drills that went on?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of freaked me out because I'm older than you, okay? And I always, pride myself in my open mind. And I realized something that I had suppressed for so long. And it was because of you and your onion peeling, as you call it, okay? And it just clicked in my head that, holy shit, this is why I was always drawn to this.
I get it.
Okay, and I wanted to thank you so much. I'm sorry that it's painful, because it is. But again, it made me think about why I was so drawn to everyone,
Yes.
To all of you, to Aaron and to Mark Headley and all of you, Leah and Mike. And I mean, I could go on forever,
Of course.
But I was always very drawn, and I didn't know why, and then it hit me as to why.
Excellent.
And I wanted to, in your pain, I'm sorry, it brought out my reality. Thank you so much for that, because now I know what it is that I've suppressed for so long, and I'll always deal with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's life. It's a learning lesson, and you deal with life one day at a time, and you do the best you can. You know, and I will always do that, and I thank you for the continuation of the critical thinking, and I wanted you to know also you're not alone in your reminder and constant,
Yes. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate that more than you might know. I really do. So thank you for saying that. It can be a lonely job doing this sometimes, and it can feel when I'm down in the depths of things, especially, of course, which you guys don't really see very often, that, things aren't so wonderful, but you come out the other side, you get a silver lining, you get a lesson learned, you conquer an onion layer, whatever, and it does make it worth it. And then I get to share that information with you guys, and I'm glad it helps, and it helps me to know that it does. So thank you for that.
It really does. Oh, I have to thank you, and I so appreciate you. And with that, I had one more thing to say, and because I know that we're time consumed here, I wanted you to know that the first time that I called you on this show was a year ago or so, and you had Rachel Bernstein. Is that how you say her name?
Rachel. Yes, Bernstein.
Okay. I adore her. Oh, please. She's so wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
She really is.
Yes.
And I called about my son. If you remember, it was the beginning of all of this pandemic and everything that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to you, right, okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. This evening, my son texted me. I tweeted it, okay, because I was so proud. He texted me that he received an award of distinction from the state for his help in helping families during COVID-19.
Oh, that's so nice. That's awesome.
And it is awesome. Thank you, Melissa. I hear you. Thank you, too. I can't see you while I talk to you, but I can hear the two of you. I adore you. And it was on your show that it was my first time calling in. And, because I'm way behind in the times. I don't have a Facebook. I only have Twitter, And I was learning how to use it. And it was just... I was okay by then, but that was my first time, and I wanted to tell you that that's how life is. It's like a circle. And now you're in your new home, and my son is in his new home, and, all these things come into play, and it's so lovely. Awesome. And I want to share that with you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
I adore you guys. All right, listen, have a great night.
You too.
I'm so glad for the new home. I hope Seven adjusts. I'm sure he'll be so fine. He's so mellow.
He is. He's picking up.
Yeah,
he's getting used to it. All right, Henny.
Okay,
talk to you soon.
And I wish you... Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye. She is the best. Love Henny.
Yeah.
Seven. Let's actually check back in with Seven before we get on to this next call. We do have another call. We will get to that. I believe it is Travis, and there he is still. Okay, we got to check in on our little guy there, and there's our little bundle of love. So looks like he's chilling now. Full disclosure, Melissa did bribe him to stay on his tree so that we could get 7 cam this
some
week.
Catnip there.
Yeah, because he tends to also go under the couch.
Yes.
And under the couch isn't as photogenic as...
Yeah, it's a little hard to get a picture of him when he's inside of the couch.
Right, I don't know that you guys would appreciate it if we just showed you film of a couch. So yeah, that's where... Because he gets under there, right? You can't... maybe a little fluff of his tail sticks out. Mm-hmm. That's about it. All right, let's take this next call here. This has been so awesome for calls. Hello, Travis?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Excellent. I have 2 questions for you tonight, and it's about Scientology lingo. two different terms that I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
First, have you heard of a holdup as defined in the Scientology organization?
A holdup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like an organization is experiencing a holdup, not the guy breaking in with a gun kind of holdup.
Like a pause in its delivery or functioning or a stop or a...
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Now, have you heard that before?
Not very often. It's not really a Scientology lingo term that is used very often there, at least not in my experience, and maybe in others.
Oh, maybe in others? Okay.
Perhaps.
Well, good.
Yeah.
All right. So I was reading through some literature online, and there was a policy letter of some type, and I believe it had been written by Hubbard himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to the tune of, hey, there's a holdup, and if you're experiencing holdups, and it seemed to be just another term for a roadblock, but knowing Scientology, there are weirdness after weirdness after weirdness definitions that go along with it, okay?
So you are absolutely right. So you're absolutely right. So you're good to question that. I'm not questioning your questioning. Oh, wow. But if you Google holdups, you get quite a different idea.
Yeah, I was like, who's Chris looking at?
I Googled holdups, and there are pictures of lingerie. So that was interesting.
Wait,
please continue.
Specifically the nylons that only go up to your thigh.
They're called holdups.
Oh, that sounds like another term for a garter.
Yeah.
Right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, thank you. You just told me the real definition.
There you go.
Okay. The other... Wow, that was random. Okay, so the other question that I had about Scientology is make or break point.
Yes, make break point.
Did you ever hear that when you were operating?
Yep. Yeah.
Explain that to us and the audience too.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Make break point is the literal statistical point at which you achieve viability as an organization. In other words, the organization is capable of sustaining its own bills, staff pay that is a living wage, not just chump change. That's the biggest part of the make-break point, but the other part is that the organization is able to pay its bills, pay its staff, and keep up not only on the utilities, but also supplies. They got toilet paper, they got the auditing paper, they got the clay in the classroom, all that crap. That's being above the make-break point. That's why it's called make or, it's not called make or break, it's make break point, and that's what it means.
So I'd like to point something out here, and it's that in the common term in the business world is break-even point.
Yes.
Okay, for what you just described.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it seems to me that this is one of those instances where Scientology was acting like what it is, and that's a cult, and redefining words and making its own language and to kind of get into people's heads.
I certainly won't argue with you about that.
Yeah, I mean, I figured I'd ask that last part because I thought maybe I'm overthinking it. Okay?
Yeah, it's make break point is only really referred to a couple times by L. Ron Hubbard in policies. It was mostly utilized and known through Scientology through a particular issue called LRH ED 339R, which is the birthday game. Which is the big game that they all play, org to org for expansion. And Hubbard said the purpose of that game is to drive all the orgs above the make-break point. So that's why it's a well-known term in Scientology.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So in that same circular, he also mentions the holdup. Okay, not the garters, but the other thing. They also use it in that same circular. I was reading that online. I'm not going to tell you where I got it, but I was also reading that a photocopy of it.
Cool.
And that's where I got both of those terms. So they're out there, and they're scary. Okay.
Yeah.
So good. By the way, how are you doing with flash answer questions?
Oh, I'm always open for more. I've got. Now, are you the one who's been sending all of those to me?
Possibly.
Possibly,
Yes.
Travis. Well, I have a boatload from you, and they are awesome. And in fact, I answered one of yours in this week's Q&A because I already shot it. So you'll get one of your answers this weekend.
Well, I guess I have to wait for that one, my friend, because it's I can only imagine which one you answered. Okay, because
You sent
a lot
me
of
a
them are
lot
a
of
bit on the
great
ridiculous
ones.
end.
Yes, you sent some good ones.
But don't worry, there are more where those came from. Okay.
Excellent.
All
Keep
right.
them
So
coming,
now
man.
that everybody's got a foreshadowing of your Q&A this weekend, I'll hang up and let you go about your show.
Awesome, man.
So
Thanks, Travis.
take care.
Bye-bye. All right. This has been a call-in show. This is
Yeah.
awesome because we have another call in the queue. Here we go. Diane. Hello, you are on.
Me?
Yes.
Diane?
Diane, hi. You're on air.
Yeah, okay. My question is, do you think the tides are shifting from the government's perspective towards Scientology with the recent halting of the arbitration for the rape cases, Aaron Smith-Levin putting out how Scientology is sex trafficking children? It seems like the government might be starting to really look closer.
Yes. I believe that there are good things happening in the legal arena regarding Scientology right now, but I believe we are only seeing the most minor of little bumps up right now. Okay, I'm not getting enthusiastic or too excited about what's happening right now because these are baby steps, but they are in the right direction. They are in the 100% right direction, both on the arbitration and on what's going on with what Mike and Aaron and others are starting to put out about how Scientology should be looked at as a trafficking organization, because that's how you prosecute these groups, is with trafficking laws. At least that's what I'm picking up from my studies. And I think that their effort in that direction is a 100% correct one.
Yeah, I really do feel like
Yeah.
they, are being closely looked at a lot more, and that's good.
Yes, I will say for sure that there is a much higher awareness in the public at large, probably around the world, because of the work that we've all been doing, especially Leah and Alex Gibney's Going Clear documentary. Those were huge, huge steps in getting that information out to everybody. And now Scientology's not just a punchline, and it's not just a joke or some weird culty thing. People understand it's actually dangerous and destructive. And that was a big hurdle to get over. And it took a lot of years to do it, but it finally happened. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a view that's going to stick around and stick with Scientology for a very long time, because they are so incredibly bad at PR. So they're not going to be able to overcome this toxicity. And that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seriously, it is the work of Anonymous, of
Yes.
the Going Clear, of you, of Leah Remini, of Mike Rinder,
Yep.
of Aaron Smith. I mean, it's. I know the internet made it possible, but without you guys doing the work behind it, this would never happen. So that's amazing.
Yeah. It's been a humongous team effort on the part of hundreds of people, and probably thousands, really, especially if we throw Anonymous into the mix, which was that was the lighting of the dynamite. You know what I mean? That was the beginning of the end for them. And I'm just, it's a whole different world with Scientology now, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, and I'm a little older, so I remember discovering the video that revealed back in the day the woman who was when Anonymous attacked Scientology or whatever. There was this video of this woman who was like, I know Scientologists. They're really nice. Maybe you should find out for yourself. And I remember.
Yes, that video. Is that the video that I clipped into one of mine?
I think so.
Yeah, that woman who was being an apologist for Scientology. Yeah, that was such a pathetic move. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember actually feeling for that woman. Like, oh, she's right. These people are attacking Scientology. And then I remember discovering that video was fake. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I'm that old. But, whatever.
Yep. Well, there you go.
And I remember being interested in the commercials back in the day of the exploding volcano.
Yes.
And all my answers were, and thinking, ooh, what is that? Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's all the way back in the 80s.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm going to let you go, but thank you very much for calling in, Diane.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Very good. Very good. Wow, this is great. We had calls back to back. This is awesome. Okay, guys. So we're actually going to start moving toward wrapping up. Okay, so we're good on the calls now. Did we miss anything in the comments that I should know
Not really.
about?
I mean,
we're
there's some stuff about Cuomo, and they're talking about Breakpoint a lot, and Scientology moving to Ventura County, California.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, guys, cool. Well, I think, Troy likes our show. Great show, guys. Troy, I was really thinking you were going to call in this week. I'm a little disappointed. Just kidding. Just giving you a hard time. But do call in next week. We're not going to do any more calls this week, but do call in next week. All right. So yeah, no more calls, guys. However, we are going to do our fallacy of the week because this is a critically thinking minded show, and these are our critical thinking cards. Okay, every card has an individual fallacy or cognitive bias on it. And this week, the card is, my favorite one, fundamental attribution error. I quote this to Melissa all the time till she rolls her eyes and wants to hit me. And I talk about this a lot because this is actually a really big deal. Fundamental attribution error is probably one of the most common and commonly committed logical fallacies all of us do all day, every day. And let me tell you, you judge others on their character, but yourself on the situation. And let's clarify. It's not only kind to view others' perspectives with charity, it's more objective too. Try to be mindful to err on the side of taking personal responsibility rather than justifying and blaming. Okay, now that is a bias that this card says. I can give you a little bit more information, and I kind of want to because I don't know that this is super clear. The fundamental attribution error is when you get cut off in traffic and you immediately assume that guy is an asshole and a jerk and he actually cut you off on purpose because he's malicious. You know how you do. You go right to that you jerk guy. You're assuming, right? You're not.
At him.
That's right. So you make it personal. You make it about the guy, right? And you attribute. You're attributing to him or her, right, characteristics that you have no business doing because you're just assuming. Meanwhile, if you cut somebody off in traffic, you just cut him off, you know you did it. Mm-hmm. Oh, but I was in a hurry, but I have to get blah, but you have some reason, some justification, some rationale as to your circumstances that make it okay. You're not a bad person because fill in the blank. That's you. That when you do that, when you're assigning that kind of blame to other people and not taking it yourself, that is a reflection of a fundamental attribution error. And we all do it all day, every day. So I just wanted to give a little bit more information about that. Okay, that is our fallacy of the week. Thank you very much, guys, for coming around and watching us. We really just kind of threw this together, and it really came off great. There were some great calls this week, so thank you very much for everybody who called in. And we will see you guys next week. And watch for the podcast and the Q&A. They are both kind of awesome this week, if I say so myself. Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Good night.